Bingo.
Okay.
I was live streaming.
Okay.
Ah, fantastic. Fantastic. Fantabulous. Huh? Yeah, I'm live streaming on YouTube. So.
Can you see my video?
Aha, okay. Nkechi, welcome on board.
Yes. Can you see my video?
No, I can't see you. You're very blurred. Very, very.
Hello. Hello. Why is my name yesterday first way? Why not yesterday?
That's the name you use for your email. So that one is not, I'm not the one that set that one. It was the email I sent it to, most likely. Ooh. I think you can change your name now. Try and see if you can change. Yetunde, try and see if you can change your name.
What is it?
Yetunde, try and see if you can. Try and see if you can change your name.
From here, Abby.
Is it better?
Nkechi, fantastic.
Is the picture better?
Okay, I'm renaming
yes,
now.
Nkechi, your picture was good. Yes. Okay. So Yetunde, you can.
Okay, I just changed it now.
Fantastic. So you're good. So
I just changed it.
It's just the three of us.
Or it's still blood?
No, it's not blood. It's fine. I can see yours. It's fine. It's mine that is blood, but it will be like that because my webcam is really old. So, Nkechi, this thing is changing again.
No, wait. I'm trying to see. Is this better than the first one?
This is good. Right now, it's very good.
Okay, so compare this one. Look at this one. Compare it with this one. I'm using a different system, that's why.
Okay.
I'm using my office system.
Me too, I'm using my office system. So
yes, usually I use my laptop and the camera is sharper.
Yeah. This one.
Okay, maybe that's why my own camera is very sharp.
Yes, your camera is very sharp.
My laptop camera is very
laptop.
Yeah.
I guess that's why my video.
I'm using my office system and then the camera is. Can you see?
Because in case you've put off your camera, now it's back. Okay, cool.
Now this one and the other one, which one is clearer?
This is good. Nkechi, this is good for me.
Look at it. I did not say good. I say clearer. Which one?
This is clear now. This is fantastic. Fantabulous.
Have you seen this one now? Check
yes, I have.
Yeah, wait, compare it with this one. Me too.
People have too many devices.
I hope my face is bright enough.
Yetunde, you are very good. Yetunde, you are very good.
Oh yeah, which one?
Very good.
Okay. So that I can go and do touch up. I don't want
to
say my face
again, Yetunde.
I'm just asking. This is our first outing now. I have to look good for the first outing.
So this one now, is it clearer? Is it better?
This one is very clear. Very, very
clear to me.
Okay.
So I should stick with this one. Has Mr. Chesson, well, how do you pronounce it?
It's Chesson.
Before we say
yeah.
Can you still see me?
Yes.
Even though I put one document.
Yes.
Even I have a document in front of me, but it's not showing because you are not sharing it.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Good stuff. Okay, so I guess we are good to go. Abi?
How is your voice? No, wait, so you have to wait for Mr. Chesson.
Yes, I know. I'm probably not going. I don't want to risk it. I'm probably not going to shut it down until we actually start. Yes. So I don't know if so because if you go to YouTube right now, we're actually live on YouTube as well. Okay. So we are.
But I can still see participants.
Participants is you, Yetunde, myself. Anyway, I'm the host, so naturally.
You are the one that will speak it. Others will not see
I
it.
think.
You know,
Well,
I'm saying,
exactly. I don't think you will see me. Are you seeing me right now?
I can see you right now.
Okay, cool.
I can see you right now.
Well,
Look at the feed.
at some point, I'll take off my.
Okay, I want you to remove participants, share screen, and record. Just leave Q&A and chat. Unpin this one.
Okay. Okay. Let me see how that can be done.
If you don't worry, I'm going to give you less than a 5-minute introduction.
Okay, no. Take your time. It's your show. This is your first show, so
there's no time to say.
Don't exceed 10 minutes. I think you give yourself.
Introduction and then over to you.
Okay, that's not your problem.
Yeah, you know you are the one introducing the speaker.
Yes.
See, Nkechi, I think for you, because you are a panelist, all these things will still be on your own screen.
Okay.
Do you understand? Yes, all these things will be on your screen. For Yetunde as well, all these options will be there. But for me, as the host, obviously, I have everything. So it is the attendees. The attendees now can only see. Yeah, the attendees will not be able to. They will not be able to share screen, and they would only be able to. They will not be able to see the number of people online. I'm the only one that can see that, and you people as well.
Okay, as long as they're certain about that, that the only thing that they can see is Q&A and chat, then I'm okay with it.
Yes. They can't say anything else. They can't say anything else. So I wish Mr. Alabatu can join us because it's
Let me tell you.
Okay.
Today's internet is fluctuating.
It's fluctuating. I thought you would say fire.
No, our internet is fluctuating. I think mine is fairly okay. Mine is fairly okay. At some point, I would actually.
But anyway, at some point, you will not show now.
Okay. Yes. Yetunde, are you back?
Is she leave?
No, our screen is frozen.
Oh.
Our screen is frozen.
I can see that.
She's back.
Which network are you using?
It's my office internet too.
Okay, you're in your office.
Yes, now.
So I was just reading my mind. I said I'm not going to allow these people to harass me. Get off my network. Let me come out with
It's better.
I think my office internet is better.
My office, I use ITMS. And their internet, yes, is more stable than all this Wi-Fi, all these miles.
In fact, the one I'm using, I don't understand. I don't want to use Glo. I'm using MTN now because I know MTN is still far better than the other networks. And it keeps going off and on.
Let me call this person to log on. I'm trying to change.
Another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another 25 minutes to go.
Because from 40, you should start admitting people.
Yeah, from 140, Abby. So that means from 1 to 140, I'll have to go live. Okay. So,
and you should start admitting people so that I was seeing some this thing. I didn't want it to show. Because if your background, if there are any distracting elements in your background, it affects viewers' attention. So I was just trying to it's much better. So my laptop camera is very sharp, eh? Hey!
I'm using a desktop, so I have to get a webcam.
Yes, the desktop is not as sharp as the laptop.
It can't be sharp now. This webcam I'm using is ancient, but it's still working. At least it still works. It still works. So we'll take it like that. Besides, I'm not the host, so I'm not the moderator, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not the moderator. It's really looking very sharp. Very sharp. Very sharp. In another 5 minutes, we'll allow other people.
Okay, participants to join us. Okay.
Yes, let me quickly call Mr. I shouldn't join in two systems. I should just leave this like this.
Yeah. If you join in one, please log out of the other because you take up space. You take up space that somebody else can use.
So I think it's best left like this before, because I wanted to change the camera view, but this one it shows adequately, so it's still okay. Let me also call. I'm calling Mr. Sheson. Mr. Sheson, good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. Please, we want you to log in so we can test your video and mic.
Okay.
We want to log in, yes, we want to test before we start accepting participants.
Okay. I will log in about 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. If you can log in earlier, because participants will start pushing. Some people are already sending chat that they cannot even enter. Because I don't want us to test when they started entering. Okay. Thank you. Okay, then you have called him. Yes, are you using hands-free?
Okay, yeah, hands-free is good.
Yetunde, are you using hands-free? Can
Yetunde is frozen again. Or...
Okay, she's moving now. Yetunde,
I can hear. Yes, I can hear.
Can you do it without hands-free? Can you do it without hands-free?
Of course I can. I just plugged in the hands-free. I can remove it now.
Remove it so that it will not be a distracting look.
Okay, I hold meetings without hands-free, so fine. There's nobody in the house. I've chased everybody away.
Yeah, yes. Let's chase them.
Let's chase them away. They should just leave. It's just me, myself, and I.
They should give you your show, Jerry. Hey, let me call another. So that your Mr. Sheston said you will log in now. He was saying he wanted to wait. I should give you 5-10 minutes. I said no. You should do it earlier so that panelists can others can start entering. Mr. Laba, log in. Let us test your mic, please. Let's test your mic before we start accepting people. Okay, so Alaba is logging in too. DJ D1. D1.
My chair, are we going to be collecting the data allowance?
If I use to submit to D1 has refused to submit for his
data allowance. Monthly data allowance. Dayo, do the needful, please.
Don't worry, we are working on our budget. So
okay. I'm bringing my own budget, oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have budget, oh, for mobilization.
I bring.
No.
We should have it before.
I have budget, but it's very small. Yes, before the next meeting, I already have it. I'll forward it to you.
Okay. Forward it to the treasurer. Copy.
Okay, I will. Okay, I'll do that.
Chairman, it's 1:41 right now. Can I start booking people? Because I told ESCOs to log in at 1:40.
Allow ESCOs to enter.
Okay.
Allow ESCOs to enter. But we have to start opening for others.
Okay, so actually everybody can see this right now. So okay. Okay, so let me just tell them. See, people are already in. Okay. People are not joking now.
People are not joking.
So, okay, this is good. So the numbers are rising.
Okay. People are coming in now.
Yeah, people are coming in now. So, anytime from now.
Hey.
How is it in this smiling? we have the first question.
You are not joking at all.
At all.
I think the person heard you when you said people are not joking.
Yes, yes. So, oh, Nkechi, you're on mute. Oh.
You said I'm what?
Okay, yes, your mic was on, as in you were on mute before, but I think now you're back on.
Okay, so
Good afternoon.
Good
afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good to see you.
Good afternoon. Yes, we can hear you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cheson.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
So I think we've tested the microphone successfully.
Yes, we have.
Let me put on some light so that you can.
Yes.
I'm sure. Yeah, my face is a bit dark, right?
Yes, it's a bit dark.
Okay, so let me put on some light.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. Is it better? Yeah.
Okay, yes, it is much better.
Okay. Excellent.
Dayo, can you hear him clearly?
I can hear him perfectly, very clear.
And his picture quality is okay, right?
I think we just have to make do. It's very okay. At least it's not like mine that is very cloudy.
You will stop your video now.
I'll put it off when we commence. I will.
Okay.
So we have another about 13 minutes before we start. Maybe Yetunde should also just chip in the what's it called, the on the platform that we're going live shortly.
Okay, let me just quickly do that. Although I've sent an information. Okay, let me just quickly.
Okay, so you sent the message. So we have about 11 more minutes before we start.
I think there'll be more people shortly.
Mhm. So once it's time, we are going to start. We're not going to.
Yes, once it's 2 o'clock, I go live immediately. So I'm checking. We have 10 minutes left.
Yes, 10 minutes.
It's 10 minutes before 2 o'clock. Okay.
Some people are already streaming it on YouTube.
I stopped the stream, but once we commence, I will restart it. I did it to test it, so I saw it was working.
Oh,
Yeah, so once we commence, I will start it all over again.
okay. So some are saying that they can see.
Yes, please.
We have all your panelists.
Mr. Alaba.
Good
afternoon, sir.
We have open now. We have attendees.
Should I remove my nose mask?
I can see you are keeping safe.
Yes. I think I should remove this.
Yes, please do. Participants have joined. So we'll start in the next, this is 7 minutes. Is there a different link to join in via YouTube? Is there a different link to join in via YouTube?
My chair, is it okay to call you Madam Chairman or Mr. Chairman?
Whatever pleases you.
I want to remove the meat. Whatever suits me, okay. Okay, no problem.
System chairman is generic, so you can serve.
Sorry? What did you say?
Chairman. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me clearly, right?
Yes, very clear. Very clear.
That's good.
What did you say? I didn't get that. It's breaking.
Yetunde, can you hear us well?
Yes, I can hear.
Can you hear me clearly? Are you good your end?
We are good here. I'm good from here anyway, so
Okay.
I can hear everyone. What's that name? Check on Shadi.
We'll be starting in about 4 minutes. We have 4 minutes to the start of the program.
Okay, so we go live in 1 minute. In exactly 1 minute. So I guess Nkechi is kicking off and then Yetunde takes over, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So in exactly 1 minute.
We have everyone present, so.
Okay, we're good to go.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome you all, our participants, our attendees, our panelists. Welcome to our very first webinar series in the month of May 2020. My name is Nkechi Anyima, FCIS. I am your host. I'm the chairman of the Lagos State chapter of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN for short. ICSAN is a leading recognized professional body in Nigeria dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. It is the only professional body authorized in Nigeria to conduct the examination leading to the qualification of chartered secretaries and administrators. ICSAN is a member of the Corporate Secretaries International Association, which is a Geneva-registered global organization dedicated to developing and growing the study and practice of secretaryship to improve professional standards, the quality of governance practice, and to improve organizational performance. The association is the global voice of corporate secretaries and governance professionals. ICSAN is also an affiliate member of African Corporate Governance Network. Today, as work practices and employers' requirements change, the Institute's post-qualified education helps chartered secretaries adapt by updating their knowledge and skills throughout their career. So this is achieved through a range of programs such as this webinar, online trainings, conferences, workshops, public lectures, and also our mandatory continuing professional education. The broad-based, multi-skill training and qualifications of ICSAN gives its graduates and members versatility and flexibility to be able to handle adequately and effectively any job situation. No other professional qualification can guarantee that total flexibility. As governance professionals, today's topic, which is the role of corporate governance in ensuring business sustainability during and after this COVID-19 pandemic, is even more important and indeed timely, because we know that irrespective of the resultant negative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the global economy and our society in particular, and even in spite of any man-made and natural disasters, economic downturn, human fears and anxieties, we are not afraid of extinction as professionals, because more than ever before, organizations and businesses need our deliberate guidance to steer them through surviving into the future. And no one can do that better than corporate governance professionals. So how are we going to use these principles of corporate governance to adequately equip, guide, and support our organizations through this? We are going to delve into the discussion proper. So join me as I hand over to our moderator, Mrs. Yetunde Emmanuel, FCIS. She's the Members Mobilization Secretary of the Lagos State Chapter, a fellow in the Institute, and she's also the Company Secretary, Champs PLC. Please, over to you, Mrs. Emmanuel, as you take us through this session.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairman. I really appreciate that. We are glad to welcome you all to this webinar organized by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, Lagos State Chapter. The reason for this webinar is to discuss how, as governance practitioners, we can help sustain the going concerns of our companies and the continuity of our economy. And like my chairman said, today we'll be discussing the role of corporate governance in ensuring business sustainability during and after COVID-19. And to enlighten us on this topic is our distinguished and erudite speaker, Mr. Sheson Shobowale. He is the General Counsel of our prestigious institute and a senior member of the Nigerian Bar Association. We are pleased to have you, Mr. Sheson, and thank you so much for honoring our invitation.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay, and to all our participants, please note that all the microphones have been muted and must remain muted in order to eliminate background voices, minimize distractions, and also to ensure that we have a smooth session. Now, to our guest speaker, please give us an overview of the concept of business sustainability, and also give us further information on those steps that company secretaries can take to better ensure sustainability, and measures that can be taken by the board, which is the highest organ in the organization, in order to ensure that good business ethics and the core values are maintained during and after this pandemic. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to this session this afternoon. So let me start with definitions of business sustainability. Incidentally, I mean, the more widely used expression is corporate sustainability. So I'll give two definitions, and then I'll highlight some of the key elements in those definitions. So corporate sustainability has been defined as an approach that aims to create long-term stakeholder value through the implementation of a business strategy that focuses on the ethical, social, environmental, cultural, and economic dimensions of doing business. So I'll highlight, some of the key terms. So first, it aims to create long-term stakeholder value. So it's long-term. And then it aims to create value, which, we'll get into in some more details as we progress, because many people are still yet to be convinced about, the value that sustainability brings. And then it is through the implementation of a business strategy. So strategy must drive sustainability, and it must be a business strategy, which is what distinguishes it, for example, from CSR, which is basically spending money to do good. And then it focuses on a number of key issues: ethical, social, environmental, cultural, and economic dimensions of doing business. Now, another definition, which is a bit broader, defines sustainability as the ability of companies through their governance practices and market presence to positively influence the ecosystems. So ecosystems would include improving natural resources, reducing pollution levels, etc. And then society, supporting local populations, creating employment and economic development, distributing wealth through dividends, paying fair salaries, respecting supplier payments and obligations, and so on and so forth. So the second definition, basically focuses on the intersection between corporate governance and corporate sustainability, so that we stop looking at the two as different concepts. And as we go into the discussion, we will see examples of intersection between, corporate governance, how business is directed and controlled, and corporate sustainability. Now, to the second question about, what a company secretary, the steps a company secretary should take to better ensure sustainability especially during, this crisis. And make no mistake about it, COVID-19 is a crisis. Anything that can keep, more than half of the world's population shuttered in their houses, unable to go out to do businesses, unable to travel for leisure, unable to, implement their plans that they are taking time to design, is a crisis. So what should the company secretary do? So first of all, the company secretary should have, before the pandemic, in highlighting to management and to the board their responsibilities, both before the NCCG, the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018, became effective, and also afterwards, should have drawn the attention of both management and board to the requirements for sustainable business practices, and then work with the chairman, the CEO, and all the executives responsible for driving sustainability to develop these sustainability policies and practices, including the requirements for regular review, monitoring, and reporting. But if there's a company secretary who is on this webinar this afternoon who hasn't done any of that before COVID-19, as they say, the next best time for doing something is today. I mean, the best time for doing something is yesterday, but if you didn't make that timeline, the next best time is today. So if this has not been done, what should the company secretary be doing right now? The company secretary should now undertake the task as a matter of urgency, the task that I've highlighted above, looking at the requirements for business sustainability as, elaborately spelled out in the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance. Now, for the green-owned company secretary, if you are not already a charter secretary, the time to make plans to become one is now. And for those who qualify, there's an executive route to membership, that is currently running that you can take advantage of, because, becoming certified as a charter secretary comes with, learnings and information and knowledge around the subject area of sustainability beyond what the NCCG stipulates. But while gaining the qualification and taking the training required for this, if you are not already qualified, then I will advise that you engage the services of a charter secretary to consult for you and to handhold you through the process of developing a sustainability strategy for your business. And I can assure you that any investment made in that regard will prove to be money well spent.
Okay, Mr. Chesson, thank you so much for the great insights you have provided. And I would like to reiterate some of the points that you've mentioned. You explained the sustainability, business sustainability, as an ability of companies to positively influence the ecosystem, natural resources, reducing pollution, creating employment, payments of dividend and exploiting suppliers payments on time. And then you also mentioned that business sustainability is an intersection between the corporate governance and corporate sustainability. And then you drew our attention to some of the steps that company secretaries can take, in this crisis. You said before the pandemic, you must ensure that, you draw the attention of the board and the management to sustainability practices, and also develop sustainable policies and practices, have regular reviews and reporting. And then you also mentioned that, the best time to start is now. Please, can you enlighten us more on those practices and policies that the corporate governance practitioners or the company secretary must develop?
Okay, so if I go back to the definition again, now,
right, sir.
The first one I started with is that corporate sustainability is an approach aiming to create long-term stakeholder value through the implementation of a business strategy. So it all starts with strategy. Sustainability is about creating value for the long term, not just for today, when things are good and you're making a lot of money and everybody, is looking for your product or services, but for the long haul, so that those who invest in your business, either as shareholders or financiers, would know that you will not only be here today, but you'll be here, in 3, 5, 10, 100 years. So the issue is that what do you need to put in place to ensure that your business continues to create long-term stakeholder value? And it goes to strategy. What is your business? What is your market? Who are your stakeholders? How do you relate with your environment? Are you in a business, for example, that uses natural resources? So what are your practices to ensure that these natural resources are not depleted? For example, are you an ethical business? There have been many successful businesses in the past that today they're either not in existence or spoken about at all, or their names are mentioned as an example of what businesses shouldn't do. You remember Enron, for example. So are you ethical? So what are your code of ethics? What are the values that you hold there? What's your relationship with, with the society? Do you see your consumers as just people who exchange money for your goods or services, or as human beings who have needs and therefore, would require more interaction with you? And above all, because it's a strategy, are you looking at the business, dimensions of doing business? So you sit down and while we say, okay, this is a role, a task that the company secretary is well prepared for, it is crafting business strategy is not the work of one person. The company secretary should certainly lead in this area, but the company secretary should work, with the executive responsible for sustainability in the business, with the strategy team, and indeed with the entire executive board to determine what are the core values of this business. What how does this business intend to create stakeholder value, going into the future, and what are the headwinds that can come against it. And when you sit down, when you put all of that in a pot, you'll be able to determine what's important for you and what you should be doing to ensure that your business, runs for a long time, that, what you craft as a sustainability strategy, relates to the business and brings value to the business rather than something that takes money to the business. It addresses ethical issues. It addresses your relationship with the environment and, your cultural and economic dimension. And you see all of that at play in this COVID situation. If we remember, COVID started in an animal market. What is an animal market doing in the center of town? It meant that, some human beings who are focused on short-term profit have sort of breached the rules of the ecosystem that the creator had put in place. And while looking for short-term profit, the entire the entire globe is battling with this pandemic at this time. So that's what I recommend that the company secretary should do in collaboration with other key stakeholders in the business.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chesson. You really addressed the questions very well. And then you mentioned strategy. And in strategizing, we should consider the nature of the business, where your market is, who are your stakeholders, how do you relate to your environment, and the code of business ethics, which is very germane. You also mentioned the core values of the company. I would like to take you back to the question. I want you to explain the role of the board. The board is the highest organ in the organization. Please kindly explain the role of the board in ensuring that the organization is properly sustained during this period, during this pandemic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the question. Now the board of directors of the company sits at the height of governance organs of any business. And therefore, it means that the board must lead key conversations in the business, one of which is, the business's sustainability strategy and practices. Now, so what should the board do? The board, for example, has the responsibility for signing off the sustainability strategy of the business. So when the company secretary and the other executives who have, a role to play in crafting a sustainability strategy has developed one, they take it to ESCO. Members of the executive committee also give their input. Then they bring it to the board and make a presentation to the board. And the board challenges the thinking. The board enriches, the thought, the document. And then the board signs off a sustainability strategy. But the role of the board doesn't stop at just signing off a sustainability strategy. The board regularly monitors the implementation of the strategy through its oversight function. So on a regular basis, the board asks for, updates. So how are we doing, in relation to the pillars around, for example, our impact on the environment? So what are the key metrics that we have set, about if you're in manufacturing, for instance, on the use of water, if, for example, or on waste generation and management, or indeed concerning ethical issues around, breaches and enforcement of the code of business conduct and ethics. So for example, is there a department in the business who looks after this area, not just to catch out those who are in breach, but also to make the code of business conduct and ethics, a document, a living document, to remind people every time about the key values of the company, about the do's and the don'ts, and to remind them, even at occasions where, for example, people might, in seeking to do good or, do their job the best way they know, might, cross the line. So, for example, leading organizations around Christmas and Easter and festive period will have their compliance department send out reminders about gift that they can, about the policy relating to gift, what they can or cannot collect. Even during the pandemic, for instance, in the last two months, every organization has been jumping on board to to either join the, the CA COVID, the private sector coalition against COVID, for example, or to make donations directly to governments and other institutions across the country and indeed across the world? Are they doing those donations in a compliant manner? Or are they just carried away by, other companies have done it, we also want to be seen as supporting the government? Have they obtained approval? Have they gotten legal review or the review of someone who is there to check that the lines are not crossed? Now, so those are the responsibilities of the board: to sign off the strategy, to monitor the implementation through its oversight function, and then to regularly report to its key stakeholders, the shareholders, and other users of the financial statements and the annual reports, who will take those reports as a report card of how well the company has done in the reporting period.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chesson. That was quite insightful. We have a lot of questions coming in from our participants, but we will not be able to take all the questions due to the limited time that we have. But we'll take a few of the questions from our participants. One of the questions from our participants is, how can micro, small, and medium enterprises incorporate corporate governance in their business sustainability?
Well,
can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you. That's a good question. And I suspect, I know why that question was asked, because a micro, small, and medium scale business is a business anyway, just like, a big business or a multinational. So, that question should ordinarily not be relevant. But the question has been asked, I suspect, because everybody expects that sustainability comes at a cost. And therefore, for a small, medium, medium, small, and micro enterprise, the issue is, look, should you be investing in issues around sustainability, or should you just be investing in growing your business? So that when your business becomes big and you have a large profit pool, you can then do sustainability. Now, my advice to you is that sustainability should start with every business that has a desire or an ambition to be here for the long haul. And sustainability doesn't need to cost money. The first thing that you need in sustainability, in business sustainability, is a strategy. Strategy doesn't have to cost money. Strategy is people of like minds putting heads together, thinking through impact, thinking through how to ensure that the business is there for the long haul, thinking through how to make sure that the society benefits from the existence of that business. And when you start to think like that, then you start to sort of measure your impact. The reality is, whether you like it or not, recognize it or not, is that every business that is still running is practicing sustainability in a fashion or the other. The fact that you hire employees, you pay them their salaries as at when due, you pay your taxes to government, means that at least you're thinking about sustainability, even though you might argue that you are being compelled to do it. But when you look beyond, your immediate needs, and you're saying, well, this is a good business, we want to grow it, one of the key pillars of ensuring that your business grows and leaves its footprint on the sand of time is paying attention to sustainability issues. So you start with a strategy, and strategy starts with good corporate governance. Who do you have on your board? When you're appointing your directors as an entrepreneur, for instance, you look at the skill and the experience that they bring. So in a manufacturing business, you could bring a banker on board, you could bring a marketer on board, you could bring someone who is into some sort of electronic marketing on board. Now, when you sit down and you start to talk about, the subject of sustainability, each of these, talent and experience would make input into that document and say, perhaps, beyond selling to our our distributors, we should also be teaching them, for example, about how to keep their books, about how to, pay their staff on time, and about how, to be responsible around their environment. And when you put that into a document, you find out that, in your first few years, you may not spend money at all. So let me disabuse the minds of those who may be listening to me who think that sustainability is about donating something to someone. It is not about donating something to someone. Many of the donations, so-called, that have been given out during the COVID-19 pandemic, some of them have been goods that could not be distributed and would soon expire if they sit in the warehouses because the supply chain has been disrupted. And those goods could make a difference to someone. So they step up to government and they offer those goods. Sometimes businesses have skills and talent that government needs. So you could go to government and say, look, we could build you a temporary isolation center, and you're using the skill of your engineers who are otherwise redundant, to make an impact. You're not giving money, but you are making a difference in an area where the society requires it. You could say, make a choice that in this business, we will reduce the rate of water that we use. So everyone can do that. You just have to find the synergy between your business and where you can make your contributions along, this social, economic, environmental, and ethical dimensions.
Thank you so much. That was quite, insightful. You provided so much insight into that question. And then you mentioned that to the micro, small, and medium enterprises, you said we should ensure that you strategize. You don't need to have so much money to have business sustainability policies and practices. And then you also mentioned that you should ensure you have people with like minds in your team. And also that, you should look at your immediate environment and see those things that you can do. You can contribute to your immediate environment, which will also help in your business, sustaining your business. I want to ask this question, sir. Concerning the code of corporate governance that you have presently, do you think it has done enough to ensure businesses are sustained in this crisis, in this period? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, thank you for the question. The Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance went through a rather long process before it was released late 2018. And part of the reason why that process was long is because the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, after the initial first start, decided that it was going to consult very widely with all the key stakeholders. And they did, go around, to all the key stakeholders, and they obtained input, which is one of the reasons why, for example, when it was eventually released late 2018, it was received with wide support and acclamation. Now, the principle of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance is that it's essentially recommending practices to businesses. So it's not saying, every business, regardless of size or age or history or industry, must do a number of things. It gives you a principle and then it supports it with recommended practices. And in section 26 of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance, a lot of detail, the code went into a lot of detail about setting out the recommended practices around this area. And I think that for any business, whether big, multinational, medium scale, small scale, micro businesses that sufficiently persuade itself about the merits and the benefit of business sustainability, they will find appropriate guidance suitable to their business and circumstances from the provision of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance. And I think that that's what is done. It's not prescribed something that everybody must do at the same rate. It's just giving recommended practices that you can then take, and depending on the size of your business, on the nature of your business, develop into small bites that you can start with. And then as your business grows and you cut your teeth at are strengthening your sustainability practices, you can then expand to doing what some of the leading businesses in the nation and globally are doing around sustainability today.
Okay. That was great. Thank you so much, sir. Another question from one of our participants is, with the ever-expanding role and continued relevance of corporate governance in the commercial and business world, how can technology contribute to making corporate governance effective in business sustainability? Can you throw more light on this question, sir?
Okay, that's a really good question. Well, if we didn't know before, certainly since late March, when most of us have been shuttered and working from home, we have realized that technology makes things easier, efficient, and effective. Technology is also a key driver of innovation and has helped in many ways to manage the COVID-19 pandemic and reduce its impact in terms of the number of deaths that have been recorded and the number of infections. Just think about how the world would have survived COVID-19 if we couldn't order necessities such as groceries and food online, if we couldn't communicate effectively, or the means of communication is in the hands of a few, as was the situation in Nigeria 20 years ago, if we couldn't transfer money online, either to buy goods or services, or to even support some of our members of our family, old ones who, for medical reasons, may find it unsafe to leave their houses. So technology is a key enabler for sustaining good corporate governance, from helping the board and management to continue to function effectively through virtual meetings, to ensuring that AGMs can be held during a lockdown and dividends can be paid and received, withholding taxes can be paid to government so that government itself can pay salaries. Our salaries can be paid to staff without them needing to come to a particular location, and so on and so forth. You will see that technology has really made a whole lot of difference to how COVID-19 has been managed. Now, businesses who do not have provision for virtual meetings in their articles must now begin to look at how to urgently address this in their articles. They must begin to, businesses that have not invested in technology that enables their team to work remotely must realize that this is an essential but inexpensive investment to promote corporate governance and business sustainability. And then we need to rework our remuneration structure, for example, to allow for expenses by employees on technology that makes it possible for them to work from home. Now, employers don't like to hear about additional expenses, but it's not all doom and gloom. Because, for example, there will be savings from implementing the work from home policy or arrangement, even before beyond COVID, in the form of savings from released workspaces, from reduced staff bosses, that another investment that has to be made to get staff to work, from reduced investment in furniture and work tools. All these savings can be plowed back into supporting these new investments that the employees are making. And also, when well managed, work from home practices can lead to improved productivity and overall reduced costs. So technology is a key driver, and it's something that businesses need to continue to invest in.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. One more question, sir. We all know that the pandemic has disrupted the economy. Yes. And it's very clear that, that the COVID-19 will have economic consequences. I want to find out, sir, what are those things that we can do, that companies can, do, that aside from corporate social responsibility, CSR, what are those measures that they can take to meet the needs, of the stakeholders in the society?
Okay. Now, I go back. Thank you for the question. I think it's really, really important. Now, I go back to the definition of, corporate sustainability, because it all starts there. Because, corporate sustainability enjoins you to look at your impact on the environment, on the society. For example, some of the things that every business needs to begin to look at is how they impact their environment. As I said before, COVID-19 started from an animal market in Wuhan, China, where the virus was transmitted from bats to animals. I don't know whether anyone has seen bats in Lekki or Victoria Island or Ikeja before. So when you begin to see bats where humans are supposed to be living, it means that the humans have crossed their boundaries into the territory of other species. And therefore, and when you do that, and many times that is done in the mindless pursuit for profit. Now, when you do that and you don't consider your impact, then you begin to find human beings interacting with, animals interacting with human beings, and diseases that sometimes may be a good thing to control the population of wild animals begin to spread to human beings, and then begins to be transmitted worldwide. So every business must look at that. How am I impacting the society, the community? Is it positive? Is it negative? Am I encroaching into spaces that have been reserved for animals and other beings on our planet? And we need to be mindful of that. So that's one consideration. Another consideration is about our consumption level. So yeah, water is essential, and water is flowing everywhere. But the reality is that in many regions it is a finite a resource, and therefore responsible consumption of water and other resources, will go a long way towards preventing the likelihood of the situation that we're in. The same thing is it applies to consumption of meat or some of the other proteins that we eat. Many people are so adventurous. So, the cattle is there, they're tired of eating cow meat. Now they want to eat snake, they want to eat bat, they want to eat things that otherwise should not be eaten. Now, if we watch the consumption of other animals on our planet, we can curtail pandemics like COVID-19 and make sure that our businesses is sustained for the long term, and then don't disrupt the ecosystem. The reality that everybody, every woman, and every business must come to is that the planet has been created not just for human beings. The planet has been created for human beings and other beings that exist, for the fishes, for the birds, for the animals in the bush. And it's not just created for the population that we have today, it's also created for the population that is to come. And the Creator has put in place a balanced ecosystem that will serve the needs of today and tomorrow. Many of our activities, when we're focused on short-term profitability, disrupt the ecosystem and bring some of the calamities that we are experiencing today upon us. And then lastly, business must begin to rethink how they plan their supply chain. Yeah, many businesses, not just in Nigeria, globally today, has China as their, as their factory. Now, if we have a pandemic, and a pandemic is something that every government and business must plan for, of course, the supply chain is disrupted. And if your only supply chain is based on a location like China that you can't reach, it means basically that you have to shut down. And so, while China may be cheap, can we start investing in supply chains that are closer, even though initially more expensive, so that when cheap becomes unavailable, the available will become desirable, and at least we can keep on producing.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Sheson. You mentioned that business must begin to rethink how they plan their strategies. You mentioned that supply chain must not be disrupted. And then we must also think about supply chain that are closer to us. Generally in this part of the world, we depend so much on, goods and supplies from the likes of China, United States, and some other Western nations. How do you think, this will affect the economy and business sustainability? Because now we are relying more on, what resources within the economy, within the nation. How do you think, not having access or having no access at all to these resources outside the shores of Nigeria can affect business sustainability? Can you throw a light to that question, sir?
Okay, I think that's a good question, but it's not only relevant in Nigeria, it's relevant worldwide. Believe you me, President Trump is, pondering the answer to that very question. Because it's not only Nigeria, for example, that is heavily dependent on China and some of the Asian destinations for their supply chain, for their machinery, for their key equipment. Even the United States is. And then, of course, during the pandemic, the president of the United States had to order, the borders to be closed. And that obviously impacted the ability of, US businesses to do business and led to job losses. Therefore, while in Nigeria, we may say, oh, China is all that we have. India is all that we have. And so if we stop to import from those locations, then, where we will be. The reality, so first of all, I'm not advocating that we put the plug, abruptly or immediately, but governments and businesses need to begin to plan and account, for alternative supply chain. There's nothing that is being done or manufactured in China that cannot be manufactured here. And I'm not necessarily saying they must be manufactured by Nigerians. Until Nigerians gain proficiency in manufacturing, some of this equipment, then we've got to, look at partnerships. We've got to look at, setting up businesses that employ Chinese and Asians and other experts, like Dangote Industry is doing. The refinery is here. Right now, I haven't done the survey and I don't have the numbers, but I can bet you that most of the people working in the refinery are from Asia. Now they could have insisted come and build the refinery in Asia and they ship the product here. But Dangote stood his ground because he looked at the cost-benefit analysis and he did it with an eye to sustainability. If a business on such a big scale as a refinery, and it's not just a refinery, it's a petrochemical, complex, can be done and the labor is imported, I don't see why any business cannot begin at least to consider a strategy that brings a supply chain closer home. It may not be done in 1 year or 2 years. The refinery has been in the building, for several years. But eventually we will get there. And if the job is here, the business is here, the Chinese will come, the Indians will come, the Asians will come as they are coming to work for Mr. Dangote. And I think that businesses need to, change their thinking cap into thinking where we would be without the developed world. There's really nothing like that. You change the rule book and decide this is where you want to start your business and then import what you need. After a while, Nigerians will be running that refinery as they're running other businesses that were in time past being run by expatriates all over the place.
Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. You mentioned that government and businesses should plan and account for alternative supply chain. And then you also mentioned partnership. And then you mentioned that we should consider a strategy that brings supply chain closer home. I want to ask, sir, survival instincts may likely to cause blind spots and result in serious erosion of moral values on businesses, on which businesses can flourish. And what is your advice to corporate governance practitioners and company secretaries in ensuring that the core values are maintained during and after this pandemic?
Okay, yeah, very good question. Now, one of the most intense conversations after the onset of COVID-19, and that's not just among governments and global and national public health agencies, but also in the boardrooms of big businesses, is how COVID-19 took the entire world unawares. Even though we have been sensitized to the risk of a global pandemic following SARS, MERS, Ebola, cholera, malaria. Now, why was it a surprise? Even when the WHO had published time and time again the risk of an infectious disease, spreading around the globe. The reality is that attention was focused elsewhere. And therefore, to your question, it's great to think about survival instinct. Now, one of the things that a sustainability strategy enables you to do is, to mesh both the survival instinct, which results in focusing on your needs today, with also the long-term need of the business. And so, yeah, the horse is bolted. We're where we are. And businesses and business leaders across the globe are pondering how come this came upon us unawares. Now, what are businesses to do? The boards of businesses must guide against ethical blind spots that cause them to lower their guards against the risk, risk of code of business conduct and ethics violation, for instance, while dealing with the COVID-19 pandemics. While attention, for example, is focused on, look, how do we serve our customers? How do we leverage digital means to get our goods and products and services to our customers? How do we ensure that, revenue that has been lost in the last couple of months are regained? They need to start thinking of the risks that are inherent in the environment. And that's the risk that while attention is focused on, let's serve the customer, let's rebuild our business, let's be creative around, how we serve and all that. Attention should also be focused on sustainability issues. So what I recommend, for example, is that the board risk committee, or whichever committee that has oversight for risk matters, or a special board committee that has been set up, as many businesses have done, to manage the COVID-19 crisis, should review the corporate risk matrix in the light of recent development and ensure that compliance practices are monitored, that the compliance function is strengthened, and tasked with highlighting the risk across the business and implementing the mitigation plans that have been developed and approved by the board. So that's very important. So while dealing with how to survive today, we should also do a risk analysis and bring on new risk on board, develop mitigation plans for them, task the appropriate departments in the business to implement those risk mitigation plans, and then report to management and the board on a regular basis, so that, while attention is focused on number one, which is survival, the board and the business does not lose sight of practices and omissions that can derail all the gains that have been made to make the business keep its head above water.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chesson. You mentioned risk analysis, developing risk mitigation plan, and also report to management and the board on regular basis. Thank you so much, Mr. Chesson. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, and thank you for honoring our invitation. Please, can you give one last word, a final word to the corporate governance practitioners on this topic? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me just share two thoughts. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic is a big challenge, not just to businesses, but to governments around the world. But in every challenge, there is an opportunity if you look for it hard enough. In preparing for this session, for example, I looked at a number of businesses that were either started or thrived during crisis. And they range among the biggest, and the most iconic companies across the globe. Microsoft started in 1975 during a financial crisis, today valued at $1.4 trillion. Apple in 75 with Steve Jobs, and then it was ousted. He came back in 2001. Both those years were during periods of financial crisis. That business is today valued at 1.4 trillion naira. Netflix, established in 1997 during the financial crisis, is today worth $198 billion. And Uber, started in 2009 during the global financial crisis, is today valued at 47 billion naira. So as we look at, the pandemic as a big challenge, we should also be looking for, new ways to do things, innovative ways of ensuring that our businesses not only survive today, but also grow to become an iconic brand tomorrow. Now, for example, in the United States, either by choice or by compulsion, and also in Nigeria, businesses that were manufacturing, a line of product have switched their manufacturing plants to start to manufacture things that are sorely needed today. Vehicle manufacturing plants have started manufacturing what's this equipment that you need to breathe? Ventilators. alcohol producing companies are switching to manufacturing hand sanitizers. And in making those switches, people are beginning to see, okay, so our plants that we've invested billions of naira on can be used to do other things. So perhaps that's the beginning of a new product line. And I want everyone to look at that and to think broadly around the opportunities that, that COVID-19 offers to build that business. Now, the second thing I'd like to share as I close is an example, and it's a case study of a company, a global company, also present in Nigeria, that demonstrates that business sustainability and corporate governance or good business does not have to work parallel lines. And that company is Unilever. Now, Paul Palmer was appointed CEO of Unilever in 2009 at the height of the last global financial crisis. He inherited a company that was in long-term business decline at a time that the environment wasn't conducive. But his biggest change was to introduce the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan, and he crafted sustainability goals at the core of the company's strategy to help 1 billion people improve their health, to have the environmental footprint of making and using Unilever products, and to enhance the livelihood of those in its value chain. Now, in 2017, 6 years into the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan, sustainable living brands grew over 50% faster than the rest of the business. It delivered more than 60% of Unilever's growth in 2016, and 18 sustainable living brands are in the top 40 Unilever brands, up from 12 in 2015 when it started. So that explains to us that, look, there is an intersection between corporate sustainability and financial growth of a business. And every business who has an aspiration to be here in the long term must look for that intersection and exploit it.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. On the final note, sir, I want to ask, draw your attention to this, sir. Is drawing up a business sustainability policy the sole duty of a company secretary? And what happens if there is a strategy team that has already been saddled with this function?
Okay. So let me apologize if I gave the impression that the company secretary has that sole responsibility. Now, corporate sustainability is a corporate governance issue. So it is the company secretary's duty and responsibility to flag it to the board, to say to the board, this is your responsibility. And in bringing that to light, obviously, all the stakeholders in the business, like the strategy team, the sustainability lead, and indeed all the other business leaders and members of the board would have a role to play. But it is the company secretary's responsibility to flag it as one of the must-dos for the board and management.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sheson. I want to say a very big thank you to you for the great insights you have provided and also for sharing your knowledge with us. You have really, really broken down corporate governance and business sustainability into pieces. And I'm sure our participants have a lot, have gained a lot from everything you said. On a closing remark, I would like to call on the Vice Chairman of the Institute of the Lagos State Chapter, Mr. Alaba Ekundayo, FCIS, to give the vote of thanks. Mr. Alaba?
Hold on. Before Mr. Alaba gives the vote of thanks, okay. Hold on. Let me share some few words. Thank you so much, our moderator, Mr. Emmanuel, for a fantastic job. Thank you so much, Mr. Sheson Shobowale, for honoring us today. On behalf of the members of my ESCO, we're indeed grateful. Today's session has been very practical indeed. I can tell you that we had over 400 registered participants who were interested in this topic to show you how vital it was for professionals. And we even had a lot of people streaming live into our YouTube link channel. Just in case some of you were not able to join in, because at a particular point in time, we had the platform limit the numbers of people who were able to join in because it became full. We still have this session saved and recorded on our YouTube channel, and we'll post a link via our website and also on the chapter's platform. So thank you very much. One of the things that we may not have noticed, or some of you might have noticed, that is very unique to this session is that all our panelists are first and foremost chartered secretaries. If you see from our speaker to our moderator to the host, we are all chartered secretaries. Not just chartered secretaries, we are all active and senior members of the Institute. So when you hear me introduce and say, Mrs. Yetunde Emmanuel, FCIS, or Mrs. Nkechi Ayima, FCIS, what it simply means that we are fellows of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators in Nigeria. And so, one of the things that we all learned today, we all heard practically in all the things that Mr. Sheson kept saying, was that businesses must have strategy, strategy, strategy. And then there's another point he said the phrase is corporate sustainability, corporate governance, and corporate strategy are all said in one sentence. It cannot be divided for businesses. So if businesses want to survive now and in the future, all that must be linked together. And so whether the business is going to apply modern technology like the use of this virtual platform, whether they are concerned with security, because right now we have a lot of cyber security issues that a lot of businesses are concerned with, whether they are concerned with the employment of management costs, salaries, or their different practical core businesses. Every company needs a chartered secretary because it's only a chartered secretary that is fully equipped, well-groomed to guide businesses and advise them in ways to apply all the principles of corporate governance, including fairness, accountability, responsibility, transparency, to survive, and not just to survive, to outperform other companies. And then they can also attract investors now or in the future. So it is important that companies engage the services of chartered secretaries. You might have one in your own firm, or you can outsource. The Institute is a very good platform in doing that. Cost of a chartered secretary is very minimal. And in fact, it's cost effective to the company, because if you weigh it with what you stand to lose, the benefits of having a chartered secretary at your back far outweighs any cost that you spend. So, to all my attendees and participants today, are you a member of the Institute? Are you active as a member of the Institute? Then, if you are not active, join the pool. Become active so that you'll be among the pool of experts who can be called upon, just like we called upon Mr. Sheson today to deliver this very insightful topic, to bring about your professionalism to bear in different companies, because companies need you now. Are you an active member who is resident or working in Lagos? Then you belong to our chapter. So join now and register in our chapter so that you can get the maximum benefit of being a member. We want to invite you once again, before I call my visit to give a vote of thanks, to please join us in our next webinar session. We have another one coming up for this month. It's webinar series, and it will be coming up every month. And the next session that's going to come up is on the 28th of May, 2020 by 1 p.m. As you know, it's an hour-long session, so we do not waste time. And the next webinar topic, we are going to see the flyers going out soon. It's on the same COVID-19, but this time around, we are looking at the perspective of the labor and employment law and the challenges employers of labor have. We're also going to look at perspectives on employees and also the social impact on the society and environment. And be rest assured, we also have seasoned speakers who are known in the industry that is going to deliver things. We have our Mr. Bimbo Atilola, who is a labor expert. We have our very own Chartered Secretary, Mrs. Nkechi Onyeso. So please, join us once again at our next session and stay tuned for more things that Eastern Lagos will bring to you. Over to you, my VC, please, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Chairman of the Lagos State Chapter. You have actually helped me to do the vote of thanks. So to our distinguished people who have joined us for this webinar, on behalf of the Chairman of the Lagos State Chapter of ICSAN, I would like to thank every one of you, starting with our guest speaker for today, who is our own, a member of the Institute, a council member for that matter, Mr. Teson Shobawale. He has shared with us a lot of insights and experience on the topic. He has given us a lot about the role of the company secretary. He has also shared his insights about the role of the board and the way he handled and marshaled the various questions that also came from participants is well noted and highly recognized. We thank you so much, our guest speaker for today. And I would also like to say a big thank you to everyone that has joined this webinar from far and near. I understand a lot of people joined, not just within Nigeria, but even outside Nigeria. I'm aware of a lot of our council members that joined. We recognize you, we appreciate you, and we thank you for making it a day to join the Lagos State Chapter webinar. It's a series, actually, just like the chairman said. There's going to be a lot more of this kind of webinar going forward. You all know that in this new normal, webinars, the use of online training has become an imperative. And at the Lagos State chapter, the ESCO has decided that we're going to continue to use webinars and technology for our meetings and for a lot of our training programs, which are all for the benefit of members of the Institute. So I'd like to state also that we look forward to you joining us in more of our programs, online programs, webinars that will be coming up, just like the chairman has mentioned. So on behalf of the chairman, once again, and other members of ESCO, I'd like to thank every one of you for joining us for this webinar today. I wish you all the best. I wish your companies, your organizations success, and I wish you all the best in your families as well. Thank you. God bless you. Have a nice day, every one of you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you all. We appreciate you all. Thank you. The session has ended.